Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Today, we got a lot to talk about. First, let's talk about this latest piece of information coming from the FBI where they put out data saying that political violence and threats are on the rise since they searched the home and the country club of former President Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago. We check in with former FBI agent, author and professor Dr. Tyrone Powers to break it down, to share with us his analysis of what's going on. Also, let's talk about R. Kelly's fiance, Joycelyn Savage. The young lady, 26-year-old, has decided to put out a memoir to talk about her experience and announce that she is now pregnant by the R&B singer. Question is, should we read what she has to say? We'll talk about that a little bit. And when words matter, folks, we're going to talk about how the state of New York is deciding to change some of the language around incarceration. My big question is, will it make a difference? I want to hear from you about that. And then later on, Deshaun Watson has apologized. Well, sort of. I'm going to share with you what the NFL quarterback has to say about all that he has done and what the NFL is expecting to hoping to see come out of this situation around him and those sexual abuse claims. So we'll have that and a whole lot more. Stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in to The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. And as always, folks, we thank you for your continued support to support Black media, unadulterated, unfiltered Black media. So first, and before we even get into the conversations, if you're a first-time watcher, if this is your 1,000th time watching, we truly appreciate your support. So make sure you head over there to blackstarnetwork.com to show your support, financial support, or even support us through sharing all of the content that we have streaming right now, whether it's from our news shows, whether it's from our special events, whether it's from our special conversations like Rolling with Rolling. All of that can be seen and all of that can be supported at blackstarnetwork.com. And again, we thank you so much for your support. Folks, the first conversation we want to have about, we want to kick off the day with is around the FBI and their latest data. There's a great concern from the Federal Bureau of Investigations about what is happening in the country as it relates to political violence and threats. And the FBI has said that they have seen a higher number of incidents and cases across the country where people are just upset. And this is all because of the latest search of Mar-a-Lago, the residence of former President Donald Trump. Now, authorities over the weekend have erected barricades around the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C. The Bureau claims it has seen an increase in threats against the FBI and its agents in the wake of this search, of former President Donald Trump. And there are a number of FBI agents who are concerned that as they do their work, they're just doing the work, that their names are going to be put on blast and they're going to be ousted. Here to talk to us a little bit about what we're seeing around the country, and particularly the concern that the FBI has, is former FBI agent, college professor, and author, Dr. Tyrone Powers. Dr. Powers, thank you so much, dear brother, for checking in. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on. It's always great to be on with you.
I appreciate it. I'm giving you a different last name and everything.
Right, no problem. I might need that now.
Dr. Powers, I want to start the conversation off with looking at some facts and some statistics coming across that the FBI pointed out. Keen, let's just post this latest set of data that the FBI put out there. According to the FBI, there are now about 2,700 open domestic terrorism investigation, a number that has doubled since the spring of 2020. And that does not include lesser but still serious incidents that do incidents that do not rise to the level of federal inquiry. Last year, threats against members of Congress reached a record high of 9,600, according to data provided by the Capitol Police. Dr. Powers, when we look at a situation like this, you got these high number of threats, especially now with Mar-a-Lago being searched. What's looking at here? Should we expect political violence? There was the situation in Ohio where a man stood in front of the FBI building. He got shot and killed. We heard about another man who ran a barricade in the Capitol. He was killed. What is going on, sir?
Well, I think you have a couple of things happening here. The FBI is putting out that information, have put out that information over the last year or two, letting people know about this increase, but also making it clear that the agency is going to respond to that in some form or fashion, that they have intelligence information, that they're going to intercept and intervene where they can, but they want to make it clear to the public that their interception, their intervention, and maybe their response to what they consider blowback, which is the unintentional consequences of certain political actions or government actions or actions by the U.S. attorney, that they're going to respond to that. They want the public to know exactly what's happening. They want the public to be alert. They want the public, individuals in the public, to give them information if they have this intelligence. But they also want to kind of explain and lay the groundwork for the fact that they have already increased their surveillance and their observation of these particular groups, organizations. And not only does the FBI work along in that, as you know, because this is an intelligent threat, and if it's a threat to FBI agents and a threat to the FBI in general, it's a threat to national security. So once it becomes a national security threat, it's an elevated threat that other agencies of the government can become involved in. And I think that's what they're just letting you know, that this is what's going on and there will be a response.
So when we talk about response, and I know the bigger question always is, and of course you know this, Doc, that if Black people were doing these things, that it would be a situation that would be crushed immediately. But because we're seeing, angry white males who feel some sort of way about the treatment of Donald Trump from the federal government, it's kind of continued to kind of be this long-standing situation. What's your take on that part of the conversation?
Well, two parts to that. First of all, this threat that we're talking about, this domestic terrorism threat, domestic violence threat, is integrated. In other words, it's not, it's integrated. There's individuals in the government. If you've heard some of the response from even some politicians, they're in their language kind of advocating some kind of rebellion, maybe not a physical or violent rebellion, but some kind of rebellion. So this is an integrated threat where you're not talking about a group or what they consider, quote unquote, a subgroup or a portion of the population, with 75 million people or close to 75 million people voting for Donald Trump, with the rhetoric being that still, even after the hearings, even with the January 6th hearings, even after the evidence that the U.S. attorney felt the need to expose or get permission to expose about the search on the resort, even with that, this is an integrated threat. And you still have rhetoric from every level of government, from the individual workers, from individuals who are not in government, from politicians who are angling for election and the support of Donald Trump and looking at his number of supporters and so on and so forth. So it's a different kind of threat. I agree with you that obviously race plays a role, because you're right, the response would be different, but the response has to be different in this particular situation anyway, because it's an integrated threat that actually has a foothold in all parts of government. Recently, over the last 2 days, you had a police officer sentenced to 87 days for his role in the January 6th insurrection. So you have police officers, the very people who in most cases, when you were dealing with Black people and COINTELPRO and all those situations, were unified in their approach to deal with the Black movement, whether it was the Civil Rights Movement or the Black Panther Movement. Now you have a group that's splintered and is even attacking individuals who they believe have a different political philosophy. So it's an integrated threat, which requires an integrated or a different kind of response.
Absolutely, absolutely. Folks, I wanted you to let you know, definitely join us in this conversation. We're talking to Dr. Tyrone Powers, former FBI agent, college professor, author. Make sure you post your comments on our YouTube page as well as our Facebook page, and let's continue to keep this conversation going. Dr. Powers, you mentioned a little bit earlier about the rhetoric that's being used. I was reading a New York Times article over the weekend. It was talking about how the GOP now are just they're using very, very inflammatory rhetoric. I want to get your take on that in terms of, because we know we're in a highly charged, very partisan, a political space in this country. How much damage or how important is it for us to have a conversation about rhetoric? Because a lot of people on the other side of the aisle, Doc, they're talking about everything from this is war to what I'm saying, like dismantle the FBI and all of that. Why should we even be concerned about the language, or should we not be concerned about the language?
Yeah, and we should be definitely concerned about the language. I think you will see that over the next few days and over the week tone down a little bit. I think some of those people, I don't care what positions in government they're in, will get visits, because when I worked in the FBI and I worked counterintelligence and foreign counterintelligence, there was this philosophy that the presidency, not the president, and the nation will be protected at all costs, no matter what. And there's a part of the government that is willing to do that. So if the rhetoric began to lead to FBI agents being attacked, if the rhetoric, and it did immediately following a search on President, former President Trump's resort, if the language and the rhetoric was up to a point where it was causing these particular attacks, those individuals, even if they're politicians, even if they're in high places and high positions, will get visits, not necessarily just from FBI agents, but from other individuals in the intelligence community. Again, remember that search that took place on the resort was a combination of information from a number of agencies. Even though the FBI carried it out, the intelligence information came from the Defense Intelligence Agency, it came from the Central Intelligence Agency, it came from a number of intelligence agencies saying to go make this move right now. We're not thinking about prosecution. You can worry about prosecution and putting the case together, but the information that may be contained in this information at Trump's location could be a threat to assets all over the world. And when I mean assets, I mean not only people who give information to our intelligence agencies, but actually agents. It could identify particular operations that are taking place. It could identify locations, certain assets, physical assets like submarines and nuclear technology, as well as individual people. And so you had this coming together of intelligence agencies saying, this is above politics now. We understand even people in these agencies, in the FBI, maybe Republican, maybe Democrat, but at a certain point when they begin to see that the information being contained and when they begin to get chatter, because this is another aspect of Farajii that we haven't talked about a whole lot. We talk about the information leading to this particular search warrant coming from an informant. That's what the information is openly. But I can tell you, having worked intelligence, the FBI and the other organizations had to get information that not only that the government agencies in this country knew that there were documents at that residence, but foreign countries, the chatter, the NSA interceptions indicate that the Chinese and the Russians and other agents knew that there was information at that location, and they are very adept at getting information. Even when the United States secured that information in embassies, they have found a way on occasion to get in. Remember, we had a breach. The head of the FBI's counterintelligence unit was actually supplying information to the Russians. So now that this information was at a location that didn't have half the security, and they were already, trust me, making plans, whether it was offering people financial rewards or using techniques and tactics that they have used over the history of the Cold War to get into that location, which is why that move was made expeditiously. The easy answer is to say we got the information from an informant, but I'm telling you, for that move to be made the way it was made at the time it was made, despite the blowback, the repercussions, the political considerations, that information came from a number of agencies, and those agencies are determined to hush this rhetoric a little bit and explain to those people, those politicians who are using that rhetoric, that this is a national security issue. This is much more serious than your next election or the popularity of a former president or the possibility of you getting votes.
Wow. Wow. Folks, join us in the conversation as we're asking the question, how should the FBI handle all of these new threats and the idea of political violence in this country? How should we handle that as well here as citizens? Join me in the conversation right now. All right, let me get some people in, Doc, as folks are checking in all from all across the country. Mike V, you started it off. You said it's only a matter of time before you start seeing a Penske truck loaded up, you know what, parked outside of buildings like in OKC. With HBCUs going back to school, expect threats as well. We saw a number of HBCUs under security watches and threats. You know, to Mike's point, and Mike, I appreciate you, brother. To Mike's point, do you expect that as folks getting back to school in a couple of weeks, Doc, that now some of our institutions, especially within the Black community, will be served as targets?
I think they could be. And here's the thing, Farajii, and I'm glad that we've got that question from him, because it indicates that now we're using our intellect as well beyond our emotion. You can be upset about the rhetoric, but then on the other hand, you have to put some protection measures in place. I've already had the conversation with individuals at some of our historically Black colleges and universities based on my background that they need to increase the presence and the patrol, the number of patrol around the college campuses, because that is a deterrent. Believe it or not, it is a deterrent. When after the Oklahoma City bombing, when they began to put those concrete barriers outside of federal buildings and post offices and locations where the FBI had their offices, it was a great deterrent, because what it made the individuals who were thinking about carrying out attacks realize is that this is a hardened target. We always talk about hard targets and soft targets. You can't make a target completely hard, a public target, but you can harden a target. And those individuals who are anticipating taking some kind of action, let's say you have some outliner who's thinking about taking some kind of action, they are deterred by consequences and hardened targets. So I'm glad we're making that observation. That shows the significance of your particular program, that we're using our intellect not only to identify the problem, to hear the rhetoric, but also to offer solutions and to put that solution out there to the individuals who can do something about it.
Here's another question, Doc. Are there concerns that the info stored at Mar-a-Lago could have already been disseminated to the United States adversaries? Because now this went from, and I was reading a New York Times piece, and it says how a procedural thing of just passing over the documents to the National Archives has now escalated to a very high level, high profile, possible espionage case. So what are you hearing about the concern about that? This nuclear information could be already passed on.
Yeah, there is a concern, but trust and believe that that place had been under surveillance ever since they asked for the first documents, and some form or the other. And again, I know this is a former president. People say, well, it's unprecedented. It's a president of the United States. There is an apparatus and operations in place, especially when you have a narcissistic former president, because we've seen that kind of narcissistic personality before. We saw it in places like Germany and other places, and these people believe everyone, even their followers, for narcissistic personalities is a means to an end. So even when you hear a president like Donald Trump speak about the importance of police and supporting the police, and then can have the January 6th insurrection where police officers are killed, everyone is a means to an end. When that is diagnosed by individuals in the intelligence community, then even though you are president of the United States, even though you are commander in chief, even though you have certain powers, there is a principle. And this is what we consistently hit on in counterintelligence. There is a principle that we will protect the presidency, not necessarily the president, which is the person sitting in that seat. And so there are things that are in place. Once they knew that there was material at that place, despite the fact that his lawyers saying that we're giving you material, we've given you everything, there's always in the intelligence community skepticism. It goes back to Ronald Reagan's statement, which he actually got from the intelligence community, trust but verify. So even when those lawyers of Donald Trump, based on this history of his presidency, said that we've given you everything, the intelligence agencies never believed that. They were listening to the chatter via the NSA and the other agencies to see if foreign agencies were trying to anticipate a move. But beyond that, they were also had some things in place to make sure things weren't removed, that things was kept in place until all the agencies and the heads of those agencies and the individuals involved in that particular field could come together to make the appropriate decision to let's go get them. We'll worry about the chain of evidence and prosecution later on, national security, even trumps whether there's a charge or a conviction.
Absolutely. Allison checked in. Allison, good to hear from you. You said hold all these folks accountable that are involved indirectly to directly, adding to the turmoil that has been forced upon us. And I think that's one of the big things as well in regards to this whole situation. The FBI, we all kind of starting to understand how serious this situation has become. So punishment, consequences. You know, what can the FBI do? What kind of consequences or punishment can be handed out either to the former president or to the people around him that allowed things to get to this point?
Well, under a national security threat, there are an array of consequences that can be handed out. The reality of the matter is, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, the likelihood of a prosecution of a former president is unlikely. First of all, let's say, hypothetically speaking, that you would charge Donald Trump with something. His lawyers would immediately ask for discovery material, which would be the 11 boxes that were taken out of there, because they will say we can only show that these boxes were not a threat if we are allowed to present them in court. And because they are national security secrets, they can't be presented in court. So his lawyers will come back and argue, well, we can't have a fair trial if we can't present the evidence that are being used against us to make up this particular charge. So prosecution probably was not the major goal of the U.S. attorney, prosecution for this particular violation, because he understands how difficult it would be in the procedural part of our courts unless there is a secret trial of a setting of a former president. So that would be difficult. So the priority became getting the material more so than a prosecution. There may be prosecution on other charges, but a prosecution under the Espionage Act would require that he be allowed to present a defense that would require him to show that what was in those 11 boxes were not a threat to national security. And even if they are a threat, he would have access to them as discovery material. As we know, during the course of a trial, you get to see the information or the material that they're going to use against you. And the only time that doesn't happen is when we are allowed to have national security or secret trials like they had at Guantanamo Bay. And that would be a very difficult ask for a former president of the United States, to have a secret trial that would ask for an exception to the Sixth Amendment, which requires a public trial.
I'm not, and I'm gonna be honest with you, Doc. I'm not holding my breath for something like that to happen, because Donald Trump is so insulated, and one of the things that I'm seeing right now is there are so many different pieces. Like, we hear about the latest with Rudy Giuliani and now being forced to testify in Georgia because of his election interference. It's like, and I'm always going back to this idea. This is so much bigger than just one man at this point, because as you mentioned, police officers involved, high-ranking Republican officials are involved. You got state legislators and high-ranking election officials involved. You got people in a part of the White House administration involved. Like, the conspiracy is so much bigger than just one man talking and running his mouth. This situation has gone so much deeper. It's like a web now that has that's simply trapped everybody in. And so it's as I kind of refer to this situation, it's like a cancer that continues to spread. It's hard to figure out how to get back to the original source, or how to put that genie back into the bottle.
Well, let me just say this to you. There is a principle that the national security of the United States is going to be protected no matter what. And there are people who will take advantage of what they see as chaos in the United States. And then there are agencies that say, and this is not chaos, we will deal with this in one form or fashion or another. And they will put somehow the genie back in the bottle. It will not be, but what it is a revelation that the genie was already out of the bottle. For example, all those integrated pieces that you just talked about, the FBI, the local police departments, the intelligence agencies, at one time, all of them was in the alignment against the Black community, doing COINTELPRO, doing the Black Power.
Right.
Now they're kind of divided.
I was going to ask you that. Yep.
Now they're kind of divided. So it's a different scenario because they were in alignment. And now, you know, the ironic part is over the last few days and doing different news outlets, you even have Black people in a position to argue for the FBI, which is ironic in and of itself, which doesn't mean it isn't right at this particular time. But considering the history of COINTELPRO, considering the history of the planned assassinations and the division and the destruction of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, the poisoning of the food for the Breakfast for Children program, the attempted assassinations and instigation of assassinations and division that have happened across this nation, the very people who were the target of that are now in a way in this awkward position of trying to say, leave the FBI alone, which is an awkward to be in. But it's understandable. It's awkward. It's understandable, which is why a program like yours is so important, so that we can kind of say they're not necessarily contradictory. They're ironic. It's ironic, but it's not contradictory. And we have to weed this out because there is a threat to the nation now. There is a threat even to our community now in the middle of this chaos that doesn't dissipate or go away because there is a divided house in terms of politics. But it's an ironic, and this kind of analysis is necessary. And again, like I said before, and I think you said it even clearly, you know, there may be some prosecution of Donald Trump on financial issues. There may be some prosecutions that take place in different states, but a national security prosecution is a little different. There may be prosecution for individuals who were involved in the insurrection on January the 6th, but to prosecute a president, even if you believe he helped instigate that, requires a lot more evidence, a very long, drawn-out discovery and trial process. And if you are talking about, to use your language, putting the genie back in the bottle, what you will do is prolong that. And so there will be some strategic decisions that will be made with intellect rather than emotion. And I think that's what has to be done. And I think that's what we have to do as a community as we speak to these issues, use our intellect as well as our emotions. We can't get away from our emotions, but use our intellect to say what is likely to happen, what strategic things we need to put in place as we observe this, not just get angry, because while anger is an emotion, it's not a solution. Sadness is an emotion, but it's not a solution. So what strategic things do we need to put in place to make sure we are safe? One, the first person to send in a comment, talk about enhancing security on historically Black colleges and universities. Those are the kind of solutions we should be coming up with, even as we observe this chaos, because
that's a great point.
Solutions.
That's an excellent point. And you know, I'm glad that you talked about the two-ness, as Frantz Fanon puts it, the two-ness that this situation put Black people, because I have been seeing it myself, Dr. Powers, where Black people, I mean, you know, even me, I have to just be like, okay, am I defending the FBI? Because the FBI has done some crazy shit to Black people, or, or you know, like what are we defending? And I think, just to be clear, it's defending some sense of order.
No doubt. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. I think that what it does is says that we are at a point in our intellectual development now where we can talk about, you know, Malcolm X said we shouldn't be so blind by patriotism that we can't call. He said wrong is wrong no matter who does it or who says it. So we should be able to pull out the wrong from the right, despite that particular history, and not forgetting that history. We can never forget it, because, to be quite frank with you, some of those operations continue to this day. We can never forget that, but we are allowed at this point and are capable of having an intellectual conversation that says this is wrong, these attacks are wrong, what the former president did is wrong, and what the FBI did is wrong. And it's not a contradictory statement, even though we can acknowledge how ironic it is. And it even shows a sense of justice and fairness with us, where we can discern right from wrong, not organization from organization and individual from individual. We can say if your behavior is wrong, it's just wrong. Like you often talked about on this particular program. You know, if you got murders all over this country where black people are killing black people, that's wrong. I can say that's wrong, even though I try to help youth change the direction, change it. But I've got to point out the fact that it's wrong to kill and rape and rob. And it's not contradictory to be able to point out those differences, those distinctions.
Excellent point. I got 30 seconds. I want to just pick your brain on this, Dr. Power. If we look at how this is going to play out, you mentioned that this is much bigger than elections, but how can Republicans be able to say that they are the party of law and order and then discredit the institutions of law and order? Then you're going back into the election to say, yeah, we're going to do policies rooted in law and order. How does that play out in the political space as we look at this year's elections and then going into 24? How are they going to get out of that hole that they're digging themselves in?
I think as the Attorney General and as the House Select Committee get more information, the House Select Committee on Intelligence get more information, you'll see that rhetoric change. I don't think they will completely turn away from Donald Trump, but the rhetoric they were talking about, defund the FBI, and this was wrong, and this was a raid, I think slowly but surely, they won't do a grand statement or a grand press conference. You'll see that rhetoric change because more information will be coming out slowly but surely, and it has to. And that's why the Attorney General of the United States said, let me get this absolutely clear and straight before you all go off in the wrong direction, put people's lives in danger. You need to tone this down a little bit. And I think you'll see that day by day.
Absolutely. Dr. Tyrone Powers, who is a former FBI agent. He's an author and a college professor. Doc, you cracked some atoms today, and I truly appreciate you, dear brother. We got to certainly get you back on. I appreciate you. Thank you, Doc.
Take care.
Folks, wow, man, oh man. All right, look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's shift gears. R. Kelly's trial has started, where they started to look for juries, for folks to serve on the jury. I want to talk about a different element of his case, which is the element of the young lady, the 26-year-old who met R. Kelly when she was a young woman, a younger woman, and how now she's decided to put out a memoir to talk about her experience with the disgraced R&B singer, and more, to say that she has been impregnated by him. We're going to get into that conversation. We're going to bring in our Culture Crew member, Jules P., and I want to hear from you. Stay with us. That conversation is coming up next here on The Culture, right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be back.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we're investing in what's next for all of us. Growing, creating, making moves that move us all forward. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, thank you so much for joining us here on The Culture, here on the Black Star Network. All right, let's talk a little bit about what's happening with the R. Kelly situation. His trial is set to begin. There has been jury selection that we've been in the process of. And actually, if you go to blackstarnetwork.com, you can see some of the what that jury selection looks like, as the disgraced R&B singer is on trial again, looking at a number of years for his involvement for sexual abuse of young girls and pedophilia. And this is happening in the Chicago area. And so now it's bringing his story back to the forefront. But today I wanted to talk about something, the other person that we often don't talk about, which is his fiance, quote unquote, Joycelyn Savage. This is the 26-year-old young woman who has been with R. Kelly for a number of years. She met R. Kelly after a show when she was just about 19 years old. And she has been the target of so much scrutiny, especially with that documentary, Surviving R. Kelly. She's one of the few young ladies who actually has decided to stay with the R&B singer in spite of all of that has happened over the years. And now she has made an announcement, folks, that she is pregnant. I am not making this up. Look at that. Joycelyn Savage claims she's pregnant by the singer in a jaw-dropping tell-all book. Check this out. Now, she's 26 years old. She's deciding to drop this memoir about her experience and how her experience being with R. Kelly, and more importantly, the experience of becoming a new mother. The thing is, her memoir is 11 pages, folks. 11 pages. Let me just share with you just a little bit of what she had to say. Keenan, let's post this on the screen, brother. Check this out. She said in her book, months later, I began expecting severe morning sickness and was unsure what was wrong with my body. I thought I had contracted COVID-19, but the most amazing news of all was that I was expecting. She said that she was extremely excited about the news that she was having a baby and feels sad that Robert will not be able to be here with us. She said she told the New York Post a photograph of the ultrasound was the only image that R. Kelly would clear for publication in the new expose. She said, yes, Robert approved the book and his team has read it through. I wanted pictures of us at concerts, at his homes, at his house, and lying down together. I told them I wanted exactly what happened, she said. However, there were moments I didn't include in this book because I wanted to have a happy ending and story with Robert. I live in one of Robert's condos and am working on my next book, which will reveal a lot about him that has been tampered by the media. Many secrets. Keenan, we should show a copy of the cover art for that book. But let me just tell you, the book is called My Life in Love with Robert. And this book here, folks, I can't get past the fact that it's 11 pages. It's 11 pages, folks, to talk about her journey and her experience with R. Kelly. Now, as we have this conversation, I don't want this conversation to be triggering, and nor do I want this conversation to be disrespectful. So let's have a discussion, and I want to bring in Culture Crew member, hip hop artist, and activist Jules P into this discussion. But I wanted to at least just have this conversation, Jules, and welcome to the show, bro. I wanted to have this conversation because I think it's interesting. I think we've been talking about R. Kelly. We talked about all of these other women, but there's still one young woman who is still riding with this guy. And despite of all, she's looking forward to having a life. She says she actually is still looking to try to bring him home sometime soon. What do you make of this, Jules? Should we, and here's my big question to you and to all of our watchers, should we read what she has to say? Should we support her?
Okay, so let me answer this professionally. I think that out of respect for her story, I mean, I understand the point that she's coming from. I understand the point that she's trying to convey. She's trying to tell her story, and she's trying to tell about the how they, laid to have a baby and, things of that nature. Also to follow up with her, like how you said in her read, how her next story is going to be about the many secrets that the media is trying to portray about him, and it's going to reveal many things. So, that's the definition of a woman that's riding for a man that has his full support, that's trying to paint a narrative. The only problem, the only problem is just the perception that we have of R. Kelly. And it's like, that's a world perception that we've grown to know. It's not like R. Kelly just came out 2 years ago and then we're finding out all this stuff. We've been knowing about this stuff for over 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, now that compels the issue of the one woman left standing is trying to speak out about it, defending it, when everybody around him has left, especially with him going to trial, especially with him having more cases in court that's going to, extend his 30 years to probably 90 years at this point. So it's just like, I'm all for creative writing, I'm all for the creative, but me personally, just being honest, I'm not interested in reading an 11-page memoir. I'm not. Dude had his time, let him go through this process he's going through for the decisions he's made and let him deal with it. But I don't need to know his actual insides, intricate details. Like, that's some stuff I guess I'm just like, I don't really care about celebrities and stuff like that. I don't want to know their personal nothing. I don't want to know any secrets being revealed or why they're portrayed the way they're portrayed. I don't really care. I'm being 100% honest. I just cannot. I can't do it.
I mean, look. Of course, folks, I got strong feelings about R. Kelly. So, it is, and I know some folks like, hey, man, he's still a genius. I think, and this is why I say that we need to have this conversation with the most extreme respect, because this is not normal, folks.
Right.
This is not normal behavior. This is like this is what some probably would think is a Stockholm syndrome, where you fall in love with your captors. This is not normal behavior. So I think that we need to look at what's really going on as this young lady is still working to try to find her sense of self, her sense of identity. You know what I mean? This is not normal. This is not a natural situation. This was a man who we know, without shadow of doubt, who has an issue, a real problem, an internal problem of coercing, abusing, misusing, some points of brainwashing young girls to be with him. One of the things that Joycelyn really, and this is something that she kind of put out in this New York Times post, New York Times interview, was when she talked about the fact that when she first met R. Kelly, and I think she was like 18 or 19 years old, she made the point that people in R. Kelly's camp saw her because she really was attracted to the fact that she wanted to build with him, connect with him on her music. She wanted to be a singer. And people around R. Kelly had likened her to Aaliyah. And they told R. Kelly, said, bro, Robert, she's like, you're next to Leah. And he got so enthralled with that idea that he literally, she said this, that he literally started calling her Little Aaliyah. Now, y'all remember the story that he married Aaliyah when she was 15. You know what I mean? She started calling him Little Aaliyah. She said she was uncomfortable with that, but because he often threw money in her face, he often talked about advancing her music career, she didn't say anything and went along with it. Folks, this is not normal. This is not healthy. This is not healthy behavior. When he took her away from her home, she was going to school. He said, "You don't need school. I'm going to grant you a music career like you never had." He made these promises to her. She was already enrolled in classes. I mean, I think Jules, her story is so. It sounds like so many other stories of girls who get involved with guys who get caught up in sex traffic, human traffic. And her story is sort of like so many other girls who are so influenced by the outer trappings of a man, of an older man, that they get sucked into this other situation with this older man that they can't get out of. It's very sad.
I get that too. And then that's also going for the women who are not speaking out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that's where I kind of lie, because it's like there's not just her that's been a victim of him. So let's not paint the picture as just because she's speaking out that now we have to cater to her and hear the stories, because there's stories that from other women that we don't even know about, or they're not even comfortable to talk about. I don't want it to be a situation where you're just using it at this moment now to capitalize because it's a trial. Like, that's where I'm getting like, okay, now you see the iron is hot. Now let me strike and try to monetize off of my personal situation instead of actually living my personal situation, if that makes sense. There's ways to, and I'm not here to tell anybody how to live or how to do anything, because that's just not how I am. But there's also ways that I recognize it's kind of ironic, the timing of things, especially with a pregnancy, especially with the trial, then especially with then you're already teasing another book coming after that. So like now there's a monetization process going on based off of why the iron is hot, instead of actually you living your real true story. I feel like there's now a need to say, hey, everything he's promised me is now, gone down the drain. He's going on trial. The money is running out and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, now the pressure's on. I'm back into a corner where I threw my life away for you. I threw my college education and dreams away for you. And now, but she's still
she's not giving us any indication, bro, that she is going to be walking away from this guy. She said Robert is happy about the pregnancy. He's looking forward to it. And wait, very quickly, I want people to see the cover art. Keena, let's show that cover art for her book here. Take a look at here, folks. Love and Joy of Robert. Folks, this is not natural. I don't want you to walk away from this conversation. And I'm asking you, will you read it? That's the big question that we have. Will you read it? This is not natural. Hey, look, let's get to some of the comments very quickly. Rashida, guess you checked in. You said, Farajii, no, don't support this book. She is a misguided woman trying to get some money. Jules, to your point, you said that. He needs to go away and do his time, and she needs to go off with him. Wow. Karina, thank you so much, Rashida. I always appreciate you hearing for what you got to say. Karina, I know you got something to say. You said, oh, I can't separate the music from the monster. In regards to the fiance, she needs divine intervention. She needs some help. Karina, I'm with you.
Like you said, it's not normal. This is
it's not normal. This is not normal. This is not cute. This is not normal. This is not healthy. This is not normal. This is not empowering. This is not normal. Karina, to your point, thank you so much. I am with you. Sophia, always good to hear from you, sis. You checked in and said, Farajii, we went from talking about Trump taking confidential documents to R. Kelly. It actually sounds like America, right?
Yeah, that's real. That's news. That's news.
Hey, look, we got to report it. We got to talk about it, though, right? Like, you can't run away from it. Like, this is America. This is America. If I didn't talk about R. Kelly, if we didn't talk about Trump, y'all would be looking at me like, damn, this man is not even relevant. Y'all not even talking about what's going on. This is what's going on. So, yeah, there always got to be a reminder of the craziness and foolishness and madness of this country.
And it's
because that's part of the culture.
That's the problem.
That's part of the culture.
It's natural. It's national news. It's not just some swept under the rug story going on in your local neighborhood. This is national news.
Look, let's keep it real, folks. And Jules, you said it best, bro. We can't sweep this under the rug. Like, we really do got to deal with the issue of pedophilia, misogyny, the abuse of women. We gotta deal with this in the Black community, because Black women in particular, have been hurt for too damn long.
Right.
We gotta deal with this, man. Like, especially if I got a daughter, if y'all got daughters, nieces, granddaughters. Like, what are we passing on to them? What is the culture gonna look like for them in the next 10 to 15 to 20 years? You know what I'm saying? When my daughter turns 13, 15 years old, 19 years old, God forbid she come across a joker like R. Kelly.
I don't play, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just hope and pray she doesn't, or no one else's daughter. Like, we gotta root this out of the neighbor. We gotta root this out of the culture. Like, this is okay. This is not okay.
Bro, I'm sending mine to college in a week. Actually, in a week, next week, I'm sending mine to college. My girl daughter's going to college. I don't play. I don't like.
Bro,
nah.
you know, and look, on the college campuses, and some of these college campuses are breeding grounds for this type of activity. You meet these nice guys, older guys, they come on the college campuses, they drive up in these nice cars, they offer money, they offer a lot of promises. And here's the thing, folks, if your daughter, niece, granddaughter isn't strong in her head, right in her spirit, then she might be influenced by it. If she don't know the game, and I'm sure you talk to your girlfriend's daughter, just like, hey, here's the game about these dudes. Here's what you need to work for. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have that conversation. If we don't empower young girls, then they're going to make poor decisions when they become women.
And you also, like, the thing I try to put into the mindset too is also, you can't prevent like certain things from happening. There's like life happens. I'm not talking about like just in particular situations. Life happens. But you always understand this, that 911 line, Jules, is always open. Anytime you feel like in this situation you're uncomfortable, hit that line. I'll be there in 2 seconds. You ain't got to worry about trying to find help or trying to get out of the situation. I'll be right there. You coming back. I got you. Don't even worry about it.
There it is. Janelle, you said she's not defending him in this book. She is offering explanations. For example, she quoted her. She said, "We was under a spell because Robert made us feel so special no matter what he asked us to do." Bing bong. Look, here's why I say that, folks, because that's the feeling. Because Joycelyn said in this New York Times post, in an interview, she said that she was violated by her own family, which opens the door. She said family members touching you despite knowing you were aware of the situation felt as if it was okay for them to do so. It felt normal to me that I was unable to voice my feelings to my parents when all they did was ignore my pain. Bing bong. Mm-hmm. This is why we need to have a conversation about incest. This is why we need to have a conversation about the violation of girls and boys.
Because this is where all started from.
It goes throughout their life, and again, that's why I said we're going to have this part of the conversation. But trust and believe, as this trial continues, there needs to be some professional folks that will be joining us to have the other parts of the conversation. But we can't get past this. Like, that is a culture. The whole thing of don't go to Uncle so-and-so because you know how he is. And we hold that shit in at the detriment of our families, man, of these little girls, these little boys. And nobody wants to talk about this. That's not good. That is doing the very thing that we say that we're against, which is holding secrets and destroying the very foundation of trust and love in the family, especially with our children. I'm putting him up on blast, Jules. I'm telling you, we putting his ass on blast. This shouldn't be like, well, just so. This is 2022. Put him up on blast. Mm-hmm. And I don't care if he's the rich uncle, the rich cousin, niece, nephew, you know what I'm saying? Grandfather, I don't care. These violations got to stop. So I understand it. That's why I said too, Jules, that to a point, like, you can't make fun of somebody who's already been violated. Mm-hmm. What's your take, bro? Real quick.
Well, I was literally about to say that's the gist of R. Kelly, because he was violated at a young age, and that violation turned into hunger to prey on others. That's exactly that's the mental health conversation that I agree 100% that we need to have. That's the aspect we need to talk about. Not talking about capitalizing and monetizing how she's doing. You said it from the opening bit of this discussion. It's literally a mental need right now of what she's like. It's not normal. This is not normal, and it's because hurt people.
Come on, bro.
From an issue from a man that's hurt others, that's hurt you. So now you're going to have that hurt to deal with. Because again, we're not going to act like you're sitting here writing this book as your stress relief and you're just doing fine in your everyday life. You're going through a lot right now. And let's be honest, the money and all that stuff he promised you and your family, because again, a lot of these parents are to blame too, because they sent their children to R. Kelly because of the money. Let's be honest with that too. But that's again another.
Well, they were hoping too. They were hoping too. You know what I'm saying? And look, and I'm not saying that I'm trust and believe. I get the parental thing, but if R&B and we got to keep us, let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. I don't care if it's R. Kelly or if it's a basketball player. If a high profile celebrity shows interest in your children, you're going now without this was. And we don't have enough time to go out into the 30 years of abuse that this man has committed. But just thinking about that, if a high profile individual show interest in your children and the talents of your babies, oh, I can help her. She got a music career. Oh, she could sing. Oh, he could sing. Oh, he can play ball. Man, look, I can coach him. This is the way they lure people in. And we don't think nothing. We like, oh my God, so-and-so. Oh my God, you go on this person, Oh, let me take them to a camp. We got to ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
Let me take them to a camp. And then check in with your children.
Mm-hmm.
Check in. How was your experience with so-and-so? Like, are you okay? Check their energy. Make sure that they feeling okay. If they feel a little bit, you do the parental thing of, you okay? I know you spent some time with so-and-so. And I'm not trying to make people afraid. It's just a simple fact that in 2022, these things happen.
Right.
They happen to Black children. They happen to boys, not just girls, but to boys as well. We have to do our due diligence and not turn our children over just for a few pieces of corn, few pieces of silver, or just for the spotlight, or you know what I mean? And I know a lot of us, we put our children out there, and we just got to be very, very cautious. If you want to show the world the talents and the skills of your children is one thing, but just be mindful that people got snakes in the grass all the time. Yes, we can give your child an opportunity. We'll put them in front of the camera. I just need to, and we might say, oh, those of us watching and those of us checking the show out might say, well, I would never do that. But you know somebody who would, because we don't think that a high profile celebrity would do something like that to our children.
Right.
If your son, if a big basketball player say, look, I got a camp, and you like, oh, it's so-and-so, man. He played on this team. He played on that team. Yeah, you can go, son. Go with a weekend with them. It can happen. It can happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said this thing got so many layers, Jules. So many layers. Let's get to. I want to get to a couple of more comments before we take our next pause. Lana, thank you so much for checking in. Always appreciate you, sis. One of our great loyal watchers. You said sex trafficking is real in the hood. Facts. Y'all need to go back and drive through sometimes. We bad off. If you don't learn about sex trafficking and human trafficking and how serious these things really are, take time to learn. There are a number of great organizations that can talk about pimp, the pimp mentality, sex trafficking, all across the country. There are a number of national hotlines to talk about these things and place national organizations. We're going to certainly do our best to bring them to the forefront to have this conversation. Lana, thank you so much. Jeanette, you said, I hope people are paying attention. Did her music even come out? No. After all this time? No. She been with him since 19. Where's the song? This is so sad, and her parents are culpable. We ain't got enough time, Jeanette, but I hear you and I understand.
Yeah.
Ogo Parker, good to hear from you. You're a new watcher, seems like. Ogo, you said, no, I will not be buying this book. This is a clout chasing. It's a no for us over here. Yeah. This is sad, folks. Brother Kingley, my man, you say I'm a bit upset now. The sister is pregnant. I want the sister to have a healthy baby. I wish her well and the soon-to-be baby well. Facts. Me too. Me too. Danita, you checked in. You said, this is so disturbing. Even the artwork looks like it's coming from a mom that is maybe stunted in maturity. Right. Right. That's a good point. You said it's really sad. And where are her family and friends? I'm just sad and I will not read this. I don't know where family and friends. She made a lot of the other girls that he had in the house. They became friends, but she talked about this in the New York Post interview. She said that one of the girls had a breakdown, had a real breakdown. She was close to her, and then there was just so much mind games being played by R. Kelly that she had a breakdown, and they just let her go. They just let her go. They didn't want the drama. Isn't that interesting, Jules? Very interesting. Belinda, you said the young girls who have no proper guidance at home to teach her self-worth finds the attention from grown men with flashy things as an out from home life. Yep. Yep. And Janine, you checked it and said, well, the other part of the conversation needs to be, why does the church also protect these demons? That's a big part of the conversation. Janine, why are you trying to open up that box? You're trying to open up Pandora's box now. But my question is, why do we allow it? We can point fingers, but y'all know in the culture, in the Black culture, we as Black people in our families, we protect people too. So before I'm even looking at the church, I'm looking at the family, because we protect a lot of people in our family. We don't talk about this stuff. But great point, Janine. McCole, you checked in. Good to talk about. You said, talk about it, Farajii. The abuse, physical and sexual, of children has to stop. Break the cycle. A lot of us have been in those spaces or had that experience. And guess what, folks? We don't want to deal with it. And as a result of that, Jules, we're messed up. We can't hold sustainable relationships. We're not happy with ourselves. You know what I mean? The trust issues. I mean, there's a lot of layers to abuse, sex abuse and child abuse and all types of mind games being played on children in particular. Both, again, I can't highlight this enough, men and women, boys and girls, because both are getting abused. And Tia, you said one of my former 5th grade students was molested by her stepfather. My God. The mother basically told her to take the L for the family so they can keep living their better life. What the hell? We gotta have a different conversation, bro. We got it. And you know what? If it takes this platform, if I lose some followers, I don't care. I don't care. I have no crocodile tears for R. Kelly. I feel sad for the victims. No tears. I don't care if y'all don't like it. I don't care if y'all like, man, you're a genius. No, I don't play this music. I don't listen to his song. I don't do nothing. I don't even give him all that. No crocodile tears. You should have been. If you know the pain of being in that space, then you need to find some help. You know what your problem is. You need to find some help for that. So don't expect no crocodile tears from me. But I hope and pray that this sister Joycelyn, she get the help that she deserves. But we're going to hear more. And she's talking about second book. Well, we're going to see how that situation plays out. You got 30 seconds, Jules. Any final thoughts for you, bro?
I agree with the earlier comment. I just pray for the health of her and the baby at this point. I don't care about the book. I don't care about the music. She's about to bring another child. She's about to bring a child into this world. Just let's hope she has the mentorship and the guidance from somebody that's around that can help her, develop as a mother and have a healthy baby and have that baby grow on to be a healthy and happy baby. That's all I care about.
That's it. That's it. That's it. Folks, again, we'll have more conversations, God willing. We'll bring on some more expert voices, but I at least wanted to have this start with my young brother here, Jules, so we can at least show, and just from you. So many of you have been checking in about this, and I appreciate it, but we got to break the cycle of abuse in our community, and we got to stop creating a culture where it's allowed to happen for so long. Folks, all right, we got to take a quick pause. When we come back, let's talk about words and whether they matter or not, how New York State has decided to change its words around incarceration. My big question is, will it make a difference? Stay with us. And then later, let's talk about Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson. and the latest developments with his case. Stay with us. It's all coming up on the next hour of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are black beyond measure.
Folks, welcome back to the second hour of today's show of The Culture here on the Black Star Network, and truly appreciate all of you for checking in. We got a lot of new watchers today, so big shout out to all of the new watchers and to new members of the Culture Crew, our online Culture Crew, who always got something to say, but I absolutely love what y'all have to say, and this is why we have this show, and this is why we do the show the way we're doing it, because guess what? We wanted to create a platform just for you to speak your mind, to be a part of the conversation. So again, thank you so much for tuning in. Had a great conversation. If you missed the first hour, we talked about some of the latest data coming from out of the FBI relating to the number of new threats of violence, political violence in the country as a result of the search of Mar-a-Lago in Florida. We talked to Dr. Tyrone Powers about that, so definitely check that out, as well as our conversation we just had with Culture Crew member Jules P., talking about R. Kelly's fiance, Joycelyn Savage, deciding to put out a new book to talk about her experience of being with R. Kelly. So definitely check out those two conversations in the replay. And I also want to invite you to show your support for Black Star Network. Check us out at blackstarnetwork.com for your ways that you can give financially to Black-owned media in an institution that is working to create a platform for unfiltered, unadulterated content that is relevant to our core story, but most importantly, content that explicitly defends and speaks our case. So make sure y'all check that out at blackstarnetwork.com. All right, folks, let's talk about when words matter. Now, you remember there was some couple of weeks ago, I had a sister named Quinn Conyers on the show to talk about the power of language. Well, it seems like Quinn was hitting all the right buttons when she said that words matter. And now we're seeing that in states across the country, there are a number of efforts to try to change language as it relates to those who have been marginalized by various systems in the country. And the reason I'm bringing this up is what we're seeing the latest situation in New York, where in New York State, they have decided to make a change. According to New York, and Cayman, let's post this. According to New York, they have amended several state laws, folks, to remove the word inmate and replace it with incarcerated person to refer to people serving prison time. Now, the changes signed into law Monday by Governor Kathy Hochul are intended to reduce the stigma of being in jail. Prison reform advocates have said the term inmate has a dehumanizing effect. Prisoners say it can feel degrading when jail guards refer to them as inmates, especially in front of their families during in-person visits. Language matters. Now, this was said Senator Gustavo Rivera, who is a Bronx Democrat who sponsored the bill. He said that this is another concrete step our state is taking to make our criminal justice system one that focuses on rehabilitation rather than relying solely on punishment. Now, on the other side of the aisle, Republicans have ridiculed the measure as coddling criminals. Now, according to the Assembly member Chris Tague, who is a Republican from Schoharie, a town west of Albany in the upper part of New York State, said parading around a bill that removes the word inmate from legal materials at a time when crime in New York continues to spike at an alarming rate shows you a lot about how misguided the Democrats' agenda really is. Please, let's bring in Jules P., Culture Crew member, activist, and hip-hop artist. Please. First, GOP ain't got no way to talk about some bull. Man, please, talking about there's an alarming chime in the rising New York crime. So we do this. Please. I'm not even going to address that comment, Jules. But I think there is something to this idea of using different language. And I know that, and I'm asking this question first, folks. Do you think this will make a difference? So I want you to post your comments about this. Do you think it makes a difference that we change, or at least New York State changes the use of the word inmate to incarcerated person? Jules, do you think it makes a difference, bro?
So as you were reading it, I actually had like 4 different thoughts go to my head. And so
okay,
like, hey, let's break this down to one thought. So the one thought I'm gonna focus on is we're not going to discuss the prisoners who actually, out here committing real crimes and doing the crime. So let's take them out of it, because I don't want it to be like a generalized thing where I'm saying, oh, I'm just taking up for everybody. But in the aspect of, you do have people that are in jail wrongly accused, wrongly sitting in there, and then have to deal with disrespect from, prison guards. And like that statement said, when my family shows up and I'm being called inmate and I'm innocent the whole time, I'm just, instead of me having money to have a lawyer, I had a public defender do my case who don't really care about me. So now I'm landed in this predicament where I'm trying to fight for my freedom to get out of here because I'm truly innocent. So in that aspect, I get it. So what the point that ran through my head is, for the language being changed, I'm optimistic about it. I kind of agree with the idea of, changing the language, calling them, incarcerated person, because not everybody's wrong in jail for wrongfully. Look at all these black people that have been getting released from jail in the last couple of years that have been serving 20-year sentences that were innocent the whole time. So it's like, I'm not even a real prisoner, but yet due to the improper handle of the court system or the racism in the state that I got sent to jail in, I'm now sitting here facing time and trial for something that I did not do, or something I wasn't a part of, or something that they deemed me as associated with, but I had nothing to do with. So for that aspect, that's what struck a chord when I read it. Again, It's kind of hard for me to defend the actual prisoners who actually out here committing crimes and murders. They get what they deserve. We had a discussion last week. You gotta face your crime. All this crime you commit, you gotta. Some states you still got a death penalty. You gotta face that. Like, that's just where I stand on that aspect of, if you're doing that crime, you deserve that punishment. But after listening to that statement that was read, it just was like, yeah, like, let's think about those incarcerated who aren't guilty, who haven't.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's an excellent point, bro. Like, at the end of the day, and let me just say this. I believe words matter. Because if we can change the language, maybe we can change the thinking about how we're going to address this. If you say inmate, it makes you feel like the person is disposable, right? There's no redeemable quality about them.
Right.
If you say incarcerated person, it does force you to say, well, is the person actually guilty of the crime? Or are they just thrown in there because of their race? Or are they thrown in there because of their socioeconomic status? Like, you know, I think it will compel us to look deeper into the criminal justice system. It's like, for example, here in Los Angeles, I hear a lot of people, LA is trying to move away from saying to people that people are homeless. And that they're working on trying to say, oh, people are unhoused. You know, you're just without a home. You know what I mean? Like you don't have a permanent home, but you're unhoused. Right. And that it does make a difference. And I know some people, I've seen some of y'all on the comments are like, does it really, you know, this is a low hanging fruit. But sometimes in a big crisis, or when you have big, like, you know, issues on the table, sometimes the low hanging fruit gives you enough momentum that you can at least have, okay, let's have a cultural conversation, because you got to shift people's thinking around these issues of incarceration, homelessness, and other things, right? And people are so like hell bent on where they stand with these issues that maybe just a change in a word or a language can help to kind of spark some new thought around the larger issue. That's how I'm thinking, Jules.
I got one. So maybe I'm going left field. I don't care. The word slave.
Right.
We're no longer slaves.
We say what? Enslaved. People who were enslaved.
Yeah. So it's like, you know, that was a word that had to change, because once Black people were quote unquote freed, I can't still be identified as a slave if I'm free. So your wording had to change how you address me. Now, you might have called me the N-word due to racism, or you might have said that Blacks, or you might have said whatever, but you couldn't call me slave no more, because the whole mindset had changed. The whole way of life has changed. So, and like I said, I know I'm going left field, but that's the power of words. Because when you go to your jobs, Black people that are in the comments, Black people that are viewing and watching, your boss ain't calling you slave. That word, that mindset had to change. Yes, you're a Black person that works, but you're not a slave. So the simple use of a word can change your perception and direction based off of what you accomplished and what you're trying to gain. In the aspect of the prison system, I thought of something even crazier. It's like, okay, if y'all worried about them being called from inmate to incarcerated person, why not call them dollar signs? Because we know most of these prisons are banking all their money about how many prisons they get in there.
Right.
And funding these states.
Right.
So let's call them dollar signs. But we won't have that conversation.
No. No, we need that part of the conversation. All right, let's go to some comments from our watchers and folks. I appreciate y'all for checking in. Davey, my man Davey, you checked in and said, look, no change in people's conditions, not labels. Yeah, I get it. You got to change people's conditions and not worry about the labels. But for some people, words matter. And we can't act like it doesn't, folks. All right, David, my man, appreciate you. Donita, you said, look, okay, inmate, incarcerated person, potato, stop wasting time and stop systematic institutionalized racism. Okay. I feel you there. I do feel you on that one. But I think it's look, you don't want to keep marginalized unless you've been in that situation. Y'all know how important a situation like this really is. It's like if you was in the prison system and you come out, you don't want to be like, yeah, he an inmate, man. Or you know what I'm saying? Like, oh yeah, he a felon. It's because some people don't even put former. They just be like, yeah, he was in prison sometime, so he a felon. You like, damn, man, like that label sticks with you for the rest of your life.
It follows you. It follows you.
You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying, and I get the passion behind it, Danita, and I'm right. But like I say, this is such a big issue that I feel like, you know what, maybe we need to change the language to get more people to get engaged with the issue. Maybe that's what it is. Because some of your biggest issues, if y'all think about this and check this out and tell me if I'm wrong or not. But some of the biggest issues, whether it's talking about incarceration, homelessness, voting rights, anything like that, just this change in the cultural language creates a kind of revives us, kind of renews the spirit for us to address the issue in a much more, justified or in a better way. Just changing the language.
Right.
Just changing the language. Let's go to Damon. Damon checked in and you said, Damon, my guy, you said words matter in some instances, but we are splitting hairs with this one. Okay, I feel you. Like I said, New York is saying incarcerated person. California is saying unhoused person. I think that there's something about showing people humanity, but I feel you on that, Damon. Chris V. Chris, you said they were trying to change that word slave to unpaid worker. Yep. I think they say now we say enslaved people, right? Because our people ain't slaves forever.
Right.
Like you said, Jules, if you were given freedom, you ain't gonna just keep on reminding people. And I think this is the other point. We love to remind people of their past, man. Like if you did your time, if you were in a place where you didn't have a home, we love to just hop on people's past, man. Like, yeah, you like once you that, you always that. It's like an addict, you know what I mean? We don't say we just love to just constantly remind people of their past, of the worst of themselves. Oh gosh. Chris V, you said they were trying to change that word, so you're right. Let's go to Vanita. Chris, I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Vanita, you said, what's the difference? The individual is still a person in prison, incarceration or inmate, still equal locked up, sad either way. Yeah, it's still sad.
Yeah.
But suppose you are an incarcerated person and you didn't do the crime. Then what you call them? You call them an inmate, or would you say?
How do you address them when they come home after they've served 10 years and they were innocent and they served 10 years? Do you call them an inmate? Do you call them a incarcerated person? Or you be like, oh, he's an innocent man that finally came home?
Right. Innocent man.
That's sad.
Innocent man that finally came home.
It's sad.
If I had to go to jail, I wouldn't want to be called an inmate. I'm gonna just be keeping it real with y'all, man. Like I wouldn't want to be called an inmate for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like even the term former felon, that's still carrying. It's like, damn.
Yeah,
you can't get no job saying that, man. Nobody, oh, this is my homeboy here for him. Like, this is my homeboy here.
That's how you introduce him. That's tough.
But, hey, look, real talk. Like, and I've never been in a situation. So for those of you who have had this experience, like, it must be hell trying to move on with your life after you made some terrible decision. You did your time. You come out, you know what I'm saying? And then 15, 20 years, somebody still reminds you of what you did when you were 18 or 16 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you're like, you know what I mean? Like, but the past, we always do that. If somebody came out of the foster care system, will you want to keep calling them an orphan?
Right.
Like, he was an orphan. Be like, damn, man, okay. Like, damn. I don't know. I get where a lot of y'all are saying, but it does, to me, words matter, man. I think we just need to think about the humanity of people. Let's go back to the comments. Keaton said, this is my man. He just got
man.
In the hood, that's how we go. We just be like, yo, he just came home, son.
No.
Like it's a beautiful thing. He just came home. Danita, you said, I definitely see your points. Words do matter, but those two words are too similar to make a difference. Okay.
Now, that I can agree with. I can agree with that. Okay. It's too similar.
I got you, sis. I got you.
It's very simple.
Chris V, you checked in and you said people should think more about wanting the people currently incarcerated to get rehabilitated back into society for those that are innocent and those that deserve another chance. Yeah,
that's facts.
That's facts. But look. A lot of times, and here's the thing. we know that prison, quote unquote, is supposed to be for rehabilitation. But how many of us actually believe that? Well, culturally, do we see prisons as being a rehabilitative institution? Or do we see it as being a confining institution? We don't speak of prison as being rehabilitation. We don't say rehab when you're talking about going to prison. Prison has always been associated culturally as the penalty, the consequence. We don't see it as rehab. Nobody says I'm going to prison to be rehabilitated.
Right.
They say I'm going to prison because I violated. I didn't follow the law. You know what I'm saying? So I don't, even the institution itself has to, and I'm not saying that we just throw a new name on it. That you go to prison, that's a consequence. But the whole purpose of prison, quote unquote, was supposed to rehabilitate the individual instead of just locking them up and constantly punishing the individual. Jules, what's your take, bro?
I mean, that part, like, I agree. And it's like, so if we were to change the name from prison to rehabilitation center, so say I'm going from, I committed a crime and I'm going to a rehabilitation center, it for society purposes, it sounds correct. But like you said, in actuality, we know that's not what's going on. I mean, it's literally like, and part of it's true because the prisons are so overcrowded. It's like for those who were actually going for rehabilitation back in those days, and you were actually getting educations, you were actually having jobs, you were actually doing work, prison release programs and getting, community work done. That's what was going on back then. But it's like now they're so overcrowded and populated. It's just like we're just housing prisoners. We got guards, y'all come out to eat, y'all come out to the yard, and then y'all go back to yourselves. Like that's literally all it is. But I mean, like I said, the words matter.
The words absolutely matter. Black Thought checked in. And Black Thought, as we close out on this part of the discussion, Black Thought, you said, should we continue to call our colonizers colonizer? I mean, yeah.
Hey, man.
Hey, yo, there are a lot of other words you could use.
I must say, you're being nice, Black Thought. Yes, there's a lot more. There's a lot more you can go with, but
you can say slave masters' children.
Mm.
Being a part of the nation, that has often been the language. People, man, y'all say the white man is the devil, blah blah blah. Y'all go hard on the white man, and guess what? Even though we went hard in the language, some people ran from that. Black folks ran from that. They were like, boy, that's too fiery for me, son. Too fiery for me. And we were saying that in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. And, oh, no, boy, y'all crazy. Y'all gonna get yourselves killed. Oh, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Now, we want a softer language. Why? So y'all can agree with me. It don't take away the fact of what they did. They colonized. When we say devil, we mean in like the thinking behind the actions. The thinking is devilish. It's against God. It's a transgression of what is natural. That's what we're talking about, devil. We're talking about someone that encourages you to be the worst part of that encourages you to exemplify the worst part of yourself. That's what we mean. Y'all think it's just, oh man, just white and black. No, it's about the mentality, the thinking. So sure, if you want to use colonizer, because that's what they did. They could colonize so many people, So again, it said, here's my take on this as we close out, Jules. At least we having a conversation to be intentional about our language. That's the point I think that needs to be made, right? Like we have to be intentional about the language. Because once we are intentional about the language, once we start to really say to ourselves, like, yo, let me think about this thing, we get into another school of thought. We're raising our consciousness.
Right.
So the intentionality is everything for me. Let's just not say things just because, but let's be intentional to describe things for actually what it is. Let's see reality for what it is. And so that's the important part for me. What's important to you, bro?
As I sit back, I think that the words matter. And here's what I was gonna say. Like it's basically what grinds my gears. And what grinds my gears the most, and I'm not gonna go into a deep tangent because I know we're trying to get out the segment, but it's like the changes that we're focusing on aren't really necessary based off the treatment of the actual people. So the words, yes, I do agree words matter, because we shouldn't keep the same words we've been using for the past 40, 50, 60 years, back from the 1900s to the 1920s to the 1940s. We still shouldn't be using those same words because times have changed. There's been more acceptance of more different culture, race, gender, sexuality, all that. So stuff has changed. We have to update our times. We have to update our language. I feel like it shouldn't have to be a law for it. It just should be an update, just because you can't update. There's no law for every single thing that has to be updated and changed and reconciled. It's too much. But for the sake of the actual conditions of our people, whether it's Black people, whether it's Americans, whether it's any culture, the conditions and how we treat people has to change first, so we don't even get into these aspects of why words have to change to begin with. But again, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. All right, folks, we're going to leave that right there. We got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about Deshaun Watson, the latest development in his case. I'm so excited to have my man Jules on the show to talk about his apology, well, sort of apology, and how he thinks that he wants to move forward, looking as the NFL season is starting very, very soon. So we'll have that conversation. Plus, I got for you some trends, posts, and doing the most. So stay with us. Whole lot coming at you for the final few minutes of the culture right here on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, our glow, our vision, our vibe, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, hold on. All right, let's welcome back to the show, to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. We truly appreciate everybody for checking in and riding with us. All right, you all know that all throughout today's show, I have certainly been talking about how you can support Black media. So make sure y'all go to blackstarnetwork.com, unaffiliated, unadulterated media that you can certainly support, media that you can certainly check into, media that you know is going to bring you the facts and have the conversations like no other. So make sure that y'all doing your due diligence. Support blackstarnetwork.com. All right. Did I say .com, Jules? I meant to say .com.
Got me excited right there.
All right, folks, let's talk a little bit about the final piece. One of the big conversations that's happening over the sports world. Deshaun Watson has decided to say something, well, sort of. He's decided to say something around the situation of the large conversation about sexual abuse and all that he has been involved in, the great controversy. And so I wanted to have a conversation about this, Jules, because he came out and apologized sort of kind of in a way that I thought was pretty interesting. Look, I'm going to take a quick pause. When we come back, we'll have this conversation. Stay with us. It's the culture right here on the Black Star Network. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, welcome back. We wanted to have our last big conversation around NFL quarterback superstar Deshaun Watson, as there's been the latest developments in his case, how he has now come out in a recent interview to, quote, apologize to all the women that I have impacted in this situation. This sucks. This is watered down. Let's bring Jules P into this. This is BS. This is BS. Let me just share with you what Deshaun had to say as he talked about the charges, the allegations, the whole situation. Keenan, let's put this on the screen, bro. He said, I want to say that I'm truly sorry to all of the women that I have impacted in this situation. He said this during an in-house interview on the Browns pregame show that aired on Cleveland News Channel 5. He said, the decisions that I made in my life that put me in this position, I would definitely like to have back. He said, but I want to continue to move forward and grow and learn and show that I am a true person of character, and I am going to keep pushing forward. Now, he also said that they'll also talk about Watson and the Browns are waiting to hear whether he will be suspended longer than the 6-game ban he was handed by independent arbiter Sue L. Robinson last week for violating the league's personal conduct policy. The NFL is seeking a tougher punishment, has appealed Robinson's ruling, which will be heard by Peter C. Harvey, a former New Jersey Attorney General appointed by Commissioner Roger Goodell. Harvey has no specific deadline to rule on the appeal, though he must work in an expedited basis per the collective bargaining agreement. Here's the situation with this, folks. The situation is, y'all remember, he got a 6-game suspension. Okay, boom. Many people felt like that was a slap on the wrist, Jules. He came out this weekend and even said that he was willing to, quote unquote, accept an 8-game suspension and a $5 million fine. Okay. I don't know when the last time the person that has been the perpetrator of a situation decides to dictate what their punishment will be. Okay, this is what he's accepting. The NFL is saying, no, Deshaun, we're looking at suspending you for all 17 games of the 2022 season. We're going to make you pay more than $5 million and send your ass to some therapy. Now, this is also the same man who said that he just a couple of months ago, when this all started to spiral out, Jules, he has no regrets. This is his language, not mine, folks. No regrets about his past actions.
You ready? You ready? You brought this topic on Monday for a reason, because you knew I was here. Are you ready?
You my guy. I know you love sports just as much as I love sports.
I live and breathe sports and music. Are y'all ready?
Go ahead.
I'm done. All right, so check this out. So let's start with a couple aspects of this. First, let's go with the 6-game suspension. The reason that the arbitrator gave a 6-game suspension is because the NFL, who has so many constant players with issues and problems, have nothing in their bylaws and standards that has any action or consequences for the actions they do. So people that feel like it's a slap on the wrist, it's not a slap on the wrist. They're only comparing it to actual things that the NFL has done in the past with certain players. So that's why you only got 6 games, because they're comparing it So what other acts and incidences that other players from the past had, whether it was domestic violence, whether it was the guns, whether it was whatever the issues are, that's all you have to compare. So that's where we start with the suspension. So people that feel like the suspension is not enough, don't worry, because the suspension came from an independent arbitrator. Robert Goodell, the commissioner of the NFL, still has the final say on what he wants to do. And I'm glad they got my man Harvard in here to go ahead and prosecute this case, because this needs to be longer than that. People also feel like because and I feel like this is what the arbitrator felt, because the Houston Texans, the team he played for last year, sat him down for the whole entire year, that counted as a suspension. No, that's not a suspension, because he still got paid. That's the team just sitting him out, telling him he can't come to practice and he can't be the quarterback for our team this year. That has nothing to do with the extra trial. So putting those two together, that will look like, all right, he got 17 games last year plus the 6 this year that count for 23 games. No, that's not enough, because the 6 games is actual suspension that's actually going to be ruled. Here's how smart the Browns think they are. And this is why I love being a Ravens fan. You know why I love being a Ravens fan? Because we're in a division with the Browns. And you know what that means? The Browns will forever be the most stupidest organization in the league, because you sign somebody to your team that you knowingly knows they have all these issues. You give them $230 guaranteed million for a contract. And then you think you're smart, because you're like, well, we're going to sign him, but, he has these issues. So out of that $230 million, instead of breaking it up between the 5 years and paying them the equivalent of the 5 years for the $230 million, for the first year, we're just going to pay him $1 million. So if he gets suspended, he only going to lose $1 million. So that means you're also what I would call an accessory to stupidity, because that means you agree with the nonsense that he does, and you agree with it so much that you're only going to pay him $1 million so he doesn't lose all of his money that he should be losing that you gave him in the first place. That's why I love being a Ravens fan. Your Browns, anybody that's a Cleveland Brown fan, I'm sorry, you'll never make it in life. It's never going to happen. You're never going to win the Super Bowl. You're never going to win nothing, because your organization does not think. Let's get to Deshaun Watson now, because now I talk about NFL, I talk about the arbitrator, I talk about the investigation. Let's talk about Deshaun Watson. I hate the apology. The reason I hate the apology is because it's not an apology, because it's not you admitting to what you really were doing. No athlete in the history of America has 65 different masseuses. Just say you wanted sex from all these Instagram models and you try to use their ploy of, well, maybe they do massages, so I use that as my way to get into book with them so then I can sleep with them. That's what you need to say, because there's nobody that has 65 goddamn masseuses. When I go to get a massage, I go to one person. A lot of athletes have the same masseuse for 20 years, their whole career. Even after their career, when they still work out, they have the same masseuse. I've never heard of anybody having 65 different, or 66, I'm sorry. It was 66 total. He just settled with 24 women. So you apologize instead of 24 women that you settled with, but you have 66 cases against you from different masseuses. So say that in your apology. Say I'm a sexual deviant that needed to get my rocks off with different women, and I used them to book massages to get what I wanted to get. And the fact that I used that as my ploy put a lot of women in uncomfortable situations, because they were really, some of them were really just coming there to massage me. And I was out there with my genitals out. I was out there, doing the wrong and sexual acts in front of their faces to try to get them to join me. So that's what you need to say in your apology. Be real. Stop being this phony fake facade that you're putting up in this front. Be real. Talk about what you're really doing. Talk about what you really went for. Another thing I hate, that you were able to even play in preseason. I do have a lot of anger towards the situation of the organization of the Cleveland Browns, but I feel sorry for their fans, because they don't deserve this. They had a quarterback last year. They had a quarterback for the last 4 years he was actually on the rise going up, and you let him go for this because you saw the brand new shiny toy who's quote unquote still in his prime, and knowing of all his sexual allegation cases, you still took a chance and take on him. I feel sorry for the fans, because now the team that was put together and have it for this, you're really just now breaking this apart for this man, knowing all the sexual allegations and cases that's going on in his past. And you kind of babied him because, like I said, you're only paying him $1 million of his salary this year. So even if he gets suspended, he's still going to walk away with $229 million. Guaranteed. Like guaranteed. I'm not for it. I'm not for none of this.
Well, I think the segment can be over now, Jules. You You took my thunder, brother.
Man.
You do this every week, man.
Hey,
you
man.
do this every week. You do this. No, here's the reality. Here's the reality. First and foremost, I'm in total agreement with everything you just said. I'm agreement with every. A lot of our watchers are in agreement too. Let me just share. Let's go to William. Well, first, Felita Kavek. Felita, thank you so much for checking in. Felita, seems like you are one of our newer watchers, so welcome to the culture and to the Culture Crew online community. You say, look, I know. How do you get to say what punishment you will accept? Exactly. You get what we give you. You take what we give you. That's the NFL way, folks. You take what we give you. You don't dictate your punishment. Thank you, Felita, for checking in. William Lathan, you checked in and said, how can an NFL punishment punish him? He used NFL NDAs. Who will punish the NFL? How many other stories are there out there? There are a lot of stories out there. He did use NDAs, but at this point, you mean to tell me that the NDAs still hold up, considering all that has already been put out there? We already know he did it.
But you know what's even crazier? The Texans supplied the hotel rooms for him to get the massages in, which is what are y'all doing?
Like, there's so many people that has enabled him in this whole process. He did it. That's why I think his apology, to your point, Jules, weak as water.
Man.
Because you know why? Because the first thing you should have said is, I'm sorry for violating these women. Not, oh, I'm so sorry for impacting. That words matter, folks. Here's one of them situations. Impacting those women, impacting all the women of let's move forward. Let's move forward. Negro, we just found out you did all this. Let this situation marinate for a minute, and then we could talk about moving forward. Let's deal with the fact that you might have abused somebody, triggered somebody, that you're trying to take them, and now you want to move forward. I'm looking forward to moving forward. I'm sure you are looking forward to moving forward, because you don't want that hammer of punishment to come down on your dumb ass. All right, let's talk about Janae. He said the audacity for him to try to set out 2 more games, for him to get ready. You shouldn't play again. Let's see your hands then. Let this be, look, for me, you're wrong. Dr. Power said in the beginning, you're wrong, man. You wrong, bro. We way out of pocket, bro. You have no tolerance for this. You out of pocket, bro. You wrong. Say, man, look, I fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Jules, like, I really messed this situation up. I'm sorry.
He should be.
You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. You didn't even say sorry. You didn't even apologize. Karina checked in 65 damn masseuses. Jules, but you are right. There we go. There you go. Nisa, you said, brother Jules P, nobody has 66 masseuses.
Come on,
Lisa said, paid to behave, Jules, is so right. Yep.
230
Absolutely.
million guaranteed.
Chris, you said Deshaun was almost going to give Darren Sharper a run for his money. Right.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
Let's talk about it. Ooh.
Hey, look, ain't nothing to talk about for me. 17 games, bro. That's what I'm advocating for. 17 games. You get a nice, healthy fine, and you do some rehab, because you got a problem, bro. You got a very, very serious problem, sir.
I feel like that's
so as a result of that, you need to fess up, not with that weak ass apology you put out there. I'm talking about, hey, look, I'm really sorry. Now watch. And especially, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. This is the crazy part. And that's why I said it when we started the conversation. This man also said he has no regrets.
No regrets. Which means he'll do it again. That's what that means.
Which means you don't really give a damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like you and this is your NFL privilege kicking in. Like, man, no regrets, man. Like, it is what it is. I do what I do. I still get paid. I still gonna be considered number one. No, sir, bro. No, sir. Sexual abuse, sexual violence, is a problem among Black people in this country, in our community, in our culture. Nah, bro, if you got to go down for the garbage that you've done to women, I don't care if you say, well, I didn't rape them. If you put yourself or show or expose yourself in some manner that she didn't ask for, you're wrong. Just that simple. You're wrong. I don't care if you didn't touch her. If you asked for her to do it, to do something to you, and she said no, and you kept pursuing, you're wrong.
Right.
So I'm asking the question, folks. Do you think his apology was enough? You think his apology was enough? Belinda, you said, Eve, the way he passed that thing around, I wouldn't be surprised if someone ended up sick. Not wishing bad luck on anybody's pussy cat. Y'all are so. Belinda.
What she said. She said what she said. Yep. That's what she said.
You're wrong. Tia, you checked in and said, Tia Z, you said, I may be wrong, but it seems that the only difference between Watson and Kelly is the age of the victims. It might be. I don't see Deshaun Watson doing what R. Kelly did, because R. Kelly took that thing to a whole new level. I think Deshaun was like Jules. I think we need to see him like with the Epstein. You know what I'm saying? Because Epstein often used massages as a way to get to bring women in. Oh, you massage me, and this is not nothing new, folks. Y'all know that abuse happens from those massages like that. You know what I'm saying? Like Joel Epstein, I think he paid even though he paid the girls, but it's still abuse. Let's not look at it for something other than what it actually is. It's still abuse. It's still exposing yourself. It's still, a level of assault. There's some violations, because some of these women may not have come for that. They might have said, oh, Deshaun Watson, again, going back to that point, high profile individuals say, look, can you come through and all of that? Sure. And I know many of you, probably some of you, I'm not gonna say many, but I'll say some of you probably, well, the women should have known what they was getting into. Come on, man, stop victim blaming.
Yeah.
The fact is, if a woman says no, then that's the end of the conversation. Pull your pants up and let say, okay, my fault, sis. Man, I mean, no disrespect. I mean, do something. But you just kept going.
I got to answer to your question. So,
go ahead, bro.
Is the Deshaun Watson's apology tour enough? So, no. But let's also take into the fact of penalty as well. So I'm going to do this real quick before we wrap up.
Yeah.
The Texans should be fined draft picks because they enabled it. The Browns organization, see, again, love being a Ravens fan because now the Browns get to be worse for a little bit. Here's what you should be able to do as Browns. The NFL, regardless of how you do suspension, regardless of how you do the draft picks, rather how you do the fines, they should still be able to have to eat that contract. So when you eat that contract, your cap is now going to be shot for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So now your penalty is going to be a 5-year penalty for the organization because now you enabled him to sign to you, give him guaranteed money to completely destroy your payroll. Now your team needs to suffer. And again, I feel sorry for the fans. Like I said, my hate is not towards no fans. I love the fans of the Browns. I respect them. They dogs. I rock with them. But the organization should have to pay for that. So now your salary cap is going to be stretched. So you know what that means? For the next 5 years, you won't be able to land a free agent, a big-time player, because you can't pay him because you're now strapped with Deshaun Watson's contract and he'll be inactive. That's what the NFL should do. So be smart about it. Just use his contract and say, all right, fine. This is the money that y'all decided to give him. You're strapped on your salary cap for the next 5 years. Can't basically sign anybody.
Right.
Hurt him.
Right.
Because that's going to hurt him. That's going to hurt the owner's pockets by billions more than millions. If
it is.
Out of football. So, yeah.
Hey, Sandy, you checked in and said he's not sorry about anything. I don't think he's sorry. I think it's he was told, hey, it's in your best interest to show some remorse. But even his own NFL privilege, his QB privilege, won't allow him to say that he abused someone, he violated someone. So he's dancing around it, but not getting to the core of the problem.
Right.
You violated, bro. You violated. And at this point, you need to deal with the consequences and do some restoring and renewal of yourself.
And you were 1 for 5 on Saturday, you bum. I'm sorry.
We're gonna take a quick pause when we come back. Trends, posts, and doing the most. Stay with us. It's the culture on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
When we invest in ourselves, we all shine. Together, we are Black beyond measure.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
All right, folks, it's now time for Trends, Posts, and Doing the Most, where we talk to you about some of the big stories that are happening right now. First and foremost, Capri Sun. If y'all know, y'all children probably drinks these juice boxes. I know my children do. They love Capri Suns. Well, they actually have put out a recall of thousands of pouches, possibly are now being recalled for having cleaning solution contamination in the pouches. They're saying that over 5,700 cases of Capri Suns, a wild cherry flavor, may be contaminated. And as a result of that, do not poke the pouches for wild cherry, folks. So if you got some wild cherries, you just bought them into the stores, make sure you let them go. Maybe, I know they said you could return the store for refunds, but this recall, the sad part about it, Jules, is that the recall affected Capri Suns, but they don't know which cases of wild cherry and other Capri Suns may have been affected. So they're saying, look, don't poke the juice box. If you have any wild cherry Capri Suns that you purchase for yourself or for your children, because they may be contaminated. So we definitely want to put out that public health message. And you could reach out to Capri Suns. Kraft Heinz is the company that is behind Capri Suns. So make sure y'all do your due diligence and not purchase those Capri Suns. Man, oh man. All right, another piece of trending topics right now, folks, is the World Health Organization. We talked a little bit earlier about renaming what New York State is doing to change its language. Well, the World Health Organization is also moving forward on changing its language as it looks at the cases of monkeypox. They plan to rename monkeypox over stigmatization concerns. Yeah, folks. Let me put this quote up. Let's put that quote up real quick, Keenan. The World Health Organization says it's holding an open forum to rename the disease monkeypox after some critics raise concerns the name could be derogatory or have racist connotations. Wow. In a statement Friday, the UN Health Agency said it has also renamed 2 families or clades of the virus using Roman numerals instead of geographic areas to avoid stigmatization. The version of the disease formerly known as the Congo Basin will now be known as Clade 1 or 1, and the West African clade will be known as Clade 2 or 2 as a Roman numeral. The WHO said that the decision was made following a meeting of scientists this week and in line with current best practices for naming diseases, which aims to, quote, avoid causing offense to any cultural, social, national, regional, professional, or ethnic groups and minimize any negative impact on trade, travel, tourism, or animal welfare. So if you are not familiar with the World Health Organization, you could definitely check them out on their website, and be a part of the conversation around how to rename monkeypox. You can go to their website at www.who.nint. Again, that's www.who.int for their website to get more information about monkeypox. Jules, you still with me, sir?
I'm still here.
Yeah. What you think about that? Renaming monkeypox?
Nope, it don't make sense. You know why? Because you already put it out there. It's already grown globally. It's like trying to go viral and be like, it's like, I'm kidding. It's too late. It's too late. It's world renowned. It's monkeypox. What I want people to stop doing is worrying about the name and stop beating up monkeys thinking that this is where this came from. I saw that report too, that people were actually targeting monkeys as the reason for monkeypox. Yes, I was reading this article, bro. That's what I want to happen. So forget the name.
We're beating up monkeys?
Yes, it's a report of people targeting monkeys as the reason for the virus. Now, we're not going to say they're smart people, so I'm not going to give them that credit. I ain't going that far. But, let's focus on the name's already out there. We can't change it. If it's offensive to some people, I'm sorry. It's not meant to be offensive. So stop taking everything to heart. Stop being so damn soft. No, monkeypox is not a racist thing saying it came from black people being monkeys or whatever you're feeling that it came from. It's just the name of the virus, but it's already out there. Can't change it.
I think wasn't there some talk like when COVID first happened? They was like, stop calling it Corona because of the beer.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they showed it the COVID instead of coronavirus. Yep.
Sandy checked in. Oh, I love Sandy. She said, we have monkeys in Florida. I can't wait to see a video of people trying to do that.
Oh, it's out there. Yo. Twitter's an awesome place when it needs to be. It's out there. It's already out there.
If you come across a video, please send it to us.
You're fighting monkeys for monkeypox, man.
I want to see somebody get their ass whipped out.
Oh, listen, that's the part. Listen, that's the part that they're like that's the part people don't understand. Monkeys are a primate. Yeah, go and attack a monkey and see what's gonna happen to your ass. Go try it. Try it. I can't wait.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. All right. Final trending topic is today is National Relaxation Day. If you didn't know, today is National Relaxation Day. It's Monday though. So try to relax if you're still at work. Hey, tell your boss that one, like, hey, it's National Relaxation Day.
So do I not go into work tonight? Is what you're telling me?
I don't know.
All right.
Also, here's another thing. Big shout out to hip hop legend Nipsey Hussle. Today is also his birthday. Happy Hustle Day. Nipsey, of course, his life was taken just 3 years. What was it? 4 years ago or 3 years ago?
3 years, because I went to the
3 years ago. Excuse me, making sure. 3 years ago, 2019, gunned down right in front of his store, the Marathon store in South Los Angeles. So our hearts and prayers are still with Nipsey. And let me tell you, if you go around the city of LA, you will see murals all over the place. It's beautiful, man. It's a brother that, he's already accomplished so much in his life, but his death is certainly something that is inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs, hip hop artists, and just all around community organizers and servants and just community folks. So happy Hustle Day, and may God be pleased with our brother, Nipsey Hussle. There we go. All right, Jules, I appreciate you, man. Thank you, sir, for holding it down as always on Monday. We truly love you and appreciate you, man. Keep up the great work, all right?
This is all I got.
You got any new music? You got any new music that you want us to know about just yet? Because I know you say you got something working.
Yes, I'm working. So right now I'm just getting instrumentals. Right now I'm trying to release the project on my actual birthday, which is November 20th, which is a Sunday, which is a weird day to release music. But I'm actually going to release the whole actual album on my birthday. So I'm just working now. So you probably won't hear no actual tracks till probably like mid-September. I might release a single, but right now I'm actually working, getting clearances and getting features right now. So that's the process. And then I'll start recording next month.
There it is. There it is. My man, Jules P., activist, hip hop artist, and so much more. Jules, thank you so much for being so good for the culture, brother. We appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in each and every day. But certainly thank you for tuning in today. We also want to thank our very special guest, Dr. Tyrone Powers, to talk to us about FBI and the growing number of threats and political violence around the country. Let's continue the conversations in all these spaces, folks, because they're very, very important. And most importantly, we ask you that you continue to support us, because if you've been enjoying today's conversations and all of last week, make sure you go to our website at blackstarnetwork.com. Download the website for free. Download the app on your phones and your electronic devices for free, and continue to support Black-owned media that is unadulterated, unfiltered, and uncompromising when it comes to telling our story and stating our case. That's all can be found at blackstarnetwork.com. All right, stay tuned. Up next is my man, Big Brother Roland Martin at 6 with RMU. And as always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we'll talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Have a great day, folks. Talk to you soon, family. Thank you, Online Culture crew. We'll talk soon. Peace.